on the People's Tele OGTV 258. This morning we are looking at what we call developing story in this job. Ukraine has been in the news. Russia and Ukraine, specifically, Russia has been shelling Ukraine, and so many Africans, including Nigerians, have left Ukraine for neighboring countries, and we thank God that Nigerians, are back home. We have them in good numbers back home, and some are still out there. The federal government still making effort to bring them back. But beyond that, I want to look at the issue of the lives of Nigerians, living abroad generally. Do we have to, in the first instance, why do we have the droves of Nigerians, traveling abroad? Could we have avoided that as a big country? If not, what do we need to do to actually reduce the numbers of Nigerians going abroad almost every day? We have in the studio with us this morning barrister Folorunsho. When you hear the name Ishola Folorunsho, for those of are very passionate about football or football of those days, you know that Baba Ishola Folorunsho is one of the legends of football commentaries in Nigeria. Ms. Folorunsho, Ishola Folorunsho, joining us this morning from that family. She's Secretary General, African Ship Owners Association with headquarters in Seychelles. Good morning, Barrister Ishola Folorunsho. It's a pleasure to have you join us this morning. We also have with us a young man, a young public affairs analyst. He's always coming here, Solomon Enolobo. He has first-hand knowledge, experience of what it takes to wait for a relative who has been in Ukraine. He just told us that somebody from his family just returned from Romania. Today or when?
On Friday.
On Friday.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for also joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Let's start with Barrister Ishola Folorunsho. Some people will say it's needless for Nigerians, thinking of going abroad to study or to live. Do you share that notion?
No, I do not. The tendency in recent times is to believe the Nigerians are going out there for greener pastures. It is not so. There are 2-3 reasons why you leave your country. Greener pastures, yes. Educational reasons, yes. And maybe economic reasons. But to have a blanket belief that we're all going out of this country because we want to seek greener pastures. Yes, the greener pastures could be better education. The greener pastures could be better working environment or different working environment. It is not necessarily that we're running away. And until we ditch that idea, the Nigerians are going to seek what they call greener pastures because of the situation in the country, then we will not face the issues headlong. I am back from being outside the country in the last 15 years because COVID dictated come back. There was no insurance to cover COVID, so I had to come back. But I didn't sit in another African country because there were greener pastures there. Exigencies of office demanded that you. So if, for example, you have a good broadcaster who finds work at the Kenya television, do you say he's running away from OGTV? No. He's just going to use his knowledge to benefit other countries. So it is not true that all of us are there because of greener pastures.
It is not entirely in a negative sense.
No.
We have positives outside. But again, let's zero in on what Nigerians have faced in Ukraine in the past few days. Because if there wasn't that face-off between Russia and Ukraine, we would not know. So many of us would not know that we have, a huge population of Nigerians living in Ukraine.
Well, yes, that's exactly what it is. Let me give you background and quickly add my voice to what the question you asked just now. I studied abroad. I studied in South Bank University in London, and I lived in France a little bit, then I worked around Europe. I would say that the major reason why many Nigerians leave Nigeria now are greener pastures, for economic reasons, basically. Among the youth these days, the word is japa. If you just try to open the borders, I mean, why do you think Nigerian Immigration Service always have that humongous application that they can never ever finish? Why do you think passports run out a lot, and people who come from Lagos to Ogun, they will even go to Ekiti just to go get Nigerian international passport? So a lot of young people, the major reason why many young people are leaving this country today is because they are leaving for economic reasons, greener pastures. You'll be surprised that even a lot of bankers are leaving, even people that work in central bank, that you believe these guys are doing well. Why are they leaving? They are just tired of this country. Now look at it. We have power failures. Petrol is not available, and so people cannot even charge their inverters because life is just hard out there. So you cannot charge your inverters. You can't charge it by NEPA. You can't charge it by petrol generators. You can't go to work because there are no the filling station. There are a lot of queues at the filling station, and all of those things just make you just get tired of the whole thing. And so a lot of people are leaving. I left for education. I mean, I remember a lot. Go to London in August 2011, and they were like, hey, let's get you some girls, let's begin to arrange for you so that you can get the red passport. And I'm like, no, that's not why I came. I only came to study, and I'm going to return after my studies. So, but I know a lot of us go to these countries for greener pastures. So let's go back to Ukraine, and that is the same thing. A lot of Nigerians are in Ukraine. Have you seen many of them? They say, oh, let me face the bullets. I'm not willing to go back to that country. And so it's because of the gloomy pictures that they've always known. When my sister came back, I asked her, hey, so what has changed about Nigeria? She said nothing, because the same way she left it about 4 years ago, the same way she met it when the federal government evacuated them. And talking about the experiences over there, I mean, if you the Americans in Ukraine and the British guy in Ukraine, compared to the Kenyan in Ukraine, and compared to the Nigerian, it was a whole lot of different experience. Okay, so the Americans told their guys, I mean their citizens, 2 weeks ahead, hey guys, begin to prepare. They begin to shut down the embassies, begin to wind down, because they have the intel and they know what was going to happen. Now, assuming Nigeria is not a superpower and does not have the intel, can we not also copy from those Americans that have the intel and begin to tell Nigerian students, oh, if you are there, begin to leave. If you are there, begin to wind down. Okay, begin to, and not make it an emergency like we have now. Up to last night, there's a city called Sumo that Nigerians are protesting. Allow us to leave. You want to go home. And so it is that like that. When it was happening, they got in touch with the Nigerian embassy in Ukraine. You know what they told them? Hey, fine, make sure you are safe, look for somewhere to hide, make sure you're out of the... Instead of creating a corridor for them. In fact, Nigerian students got to Polish border. They turned them back and say, oh, we're only accepting Europeans. You are not European. You do not have Schengen visa to make you roam around. So now the experience is not so palatable.
Yeah, before Moji comes in, and that is Miss Ishola Folorunsho. We also saw videos of Ukrainians, pushing away, wanted to and leave the country. That's actually one of the reasons why we have this topic, Nigerians and overseas experiences. I mean, if they were back home and then were not living in Ukraine, do you think that would have happened to them? Or you see, probably we have to begin to also compare the ordeal that they felt they were facing in the country, which actually made them go abroad, go to a country like Ukraine.
The reality of the matter is this. The video clip we saw, we all believed it was just about Nigerians. It was about Africans. It wasn't only Nigerians that were pushed away. The truth of the matter today is Africa must sit up and say, do you know what? We know there's a difference between the African and the European. What do we have to do? address it headlong. We have two situations on our hand. We had issues in South Africa because we were Nigerians. We have issues in Ukraine, not because we were Nigerians or Africans, but it was not of our making. This is a time for us to sit back and say, it's not going to stop. It is not going to stop. The only safe haven is not Nigeria, but Africa. What we had in Ukraine, that video clip, may not have happened in an African country. May not. I'm not talking about the superpowers killing themselves and deciding to show power, but it may not have happened that the African will be pushed from the train. Don't go into the bus, blah, 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 blah. The reality on ground is that there's a difference between the African and the European. And until we see and face it headlong, we're going to keep having that.
But then what happens to the UN Charter about the equality of every human, irrespective of where you're from, irrespective of your color, if they are doing that in Ukraine? And it seems it is actually those moving from Kiev to Poland that faced that challenge. Yes. Because those that went to Hungary didn't, I doubt if they faced that discrimination. So what happens to the UN Charter then?
The available for those who respect national law and practices. The first violation when Russia take headlong an independent sovereign country. That shouldn't have happened at all. Now the fallout of it are other violations of that charter. In terms of equality and whatever, tomorrow is a day where we're going to speak more about women's rights under the UN Charter. So let's leave that for tomorrow. But today, there has been a violation by a country against another country for certain things that do not concern you. And if they do, you don't go bombing them, do you? So there has been a violation at that level. Let's address that first. And then we would see cascade into other violations that have happened because of that single violation.
Yes, there was an agreement in the 90s, right, that during the time of Gorbachev, if I'm right, that the UN, Ukraine shouldn't join NATO. Now, I begin to wonder, why is NATO, Ukraine, trying to move away, break that agreement?
At the time he made that agreement, you made 20 years ago, that you want to review. With the benefit of hindsight, if I knew, and the differences, the dynamics of that charter, of that agreement then, and today are two different ball games. Now, who made you the enforcer of that agreement? Who gave you the right to enforce? On behalf of who? NATO? We shall subsequently watch out and see NATO's reaction and the world's decision on that initial flagrant abuse of the sovereign rights of another country. If I do breach it, is the platform to force me to enforce it? Is it in bombing? In wiping me out? There are other platforms.
Mr. Nanalumo, let's come back to the issues of Nigerians in Ukraine. You've been there, you've experienced some things outside the country when you went to study. Would you say the Nigerian government database of Nigerians studying outside the country?
No, we don't. No embassy will tell you they have. Actually, while I was in the UK, I was instrumental in creating one because I worked with Adams and Moore, which was commissioned by the Nigerian embassy in the UK to get a database of high achieving Nigerians in the UK. So most, if I would put it like that, do not have the database. Even the Nigerian embassy in Ukraine do not have such database. Figures started flying about that, oh, we have about 5,000 Nigerians, we have about 7,000 Nigerians, and all of that. So, but we cannot lay claim to it, and is one of the issues that the embassies in those countries do not relate well enough. The truth of the matter is that those embassies are more or less, most of the time, Nigerian is. You would be surprised when you get to the US embassy or the UK embassy and you see in Nigeria, you wouldn't even know that you are in a foreign civilized country. Exactly what happens, and I'm talking about the racketeering, the bribing, all of those things are the same thing that happens in those embassies. I was in US during COVID, and in the thick of it, when America was under all those stay-at-home orders, and I needed the embassy to quickly, because my wife's sister was going to run out, and I needed the embassy to give us some notes to say, okay, we're done with whatever it is we're doing. We just want to leave, but the embassy was nowhere to be found. I mean, we sent emails. There were no urgent responses and all of that. So the way we value lives here is still the way they are treating Nigerians over there. So, and that needs to change. We need to begin to see Nigerian life that matters, as Nigerian life matters, and ensure that every Nigerian is catered for, whether you are in the country or you are out of the country. The same way, if an American is here and send a distress call, you will see the way America will respond. And so that is the same way we want our lives to matter. The government should also respond when there are issues like that. And should be proactive, not just to set up emergency responses, which most of the time don't come, but be proactive. Oh, we see danger coming. Nigerians, get ready to move.
Ms. Folorunsho, do you want to add to that?
I studied in UK years ago. I won't say number of years ago. The ability to keep database outside of the country is not a fault of the missions in those countries. Do not forget that sometimes Nigerians get into this country in ways that are different from. Do not forget the Nigerians in those countries are hiding away from the authorities. And therefore, if, for example, those in Ukraine, which you are supposed to do, as soon as you get into any African country, you register your presence. Don't forget about the hostilities there. It's in Nigeria, in another. Therefore, to keep a database, it's not a fault. Not the fault of the missions, but the fault of some Nigerians in those countries. If you're there legally, if you're there as a student with proper documentation, as a business person, you go to the mission and you're treated with respect. However, if you're there and you go, you can't even register, because the government authorities there could ask the mission, could we have who are your citizens here? And you don't want it to be known. Yeah. Now, what does this situation say to us? It says to us, Nigeria, you've got to up your game. There is a need. Nigerians in diaspora, please register. Whether you are here legally or illegally, you are still first and foremost a Nigerian. So I think this is a call that you're making now.
Yes.
Let us, wherever you are, Nigerian missions across the world, please call our citizens and say, please register. This is not about leaking your secrets to the government authorities there, because we are here to protect you, but because situations like this could arise, and I want to know where to pick you from.
Does that,
and they can do that online. It doesn't have to be physically. So, which means wherever cocoon you're hiding, you can at least give very few information about that the life of a Nigerian exists there.
True.
that does not actually help. Probably the point you're trying to make in the long run is that if you don't register your presence or you're living in a particular country, it doesn't help the mission to have data, and it doesn't also help your government back home to know the number of people that live in UK, for instance, or Canada. But Barrister Shola, do you think, and I mean, do you think that we don't have a larger number of Nigerians that enter those countries illegally than those that enter legally? If I entered illegally, as a result of the fact I'm trying to escape the trauma, the travels of my country, what about the fear that I won't be sent back, deported?
I do not have statistics as to illegal or legal. But let me say to you, I could enter, there were countries, South Africa was one. I entered legally with my passport, visa, and whatever. But I had to stay back to complete incorporation. They needed me to be there to complete incorporation of the African Ship Owners Association. Now, I had two options, leave and not finish, or stay back, overstay. But because I knew I was bold enough, I went there. Most people that you think are illegally staying in those countries could also be victims of legal things, legal circumstances. I mean, nobody wants to be a refugee in any country to be able to go there. Now, the assignment here is, first let's get this data. Come out and let's talk. What do we need to do to help you? If to get a skilled assignment, let's do it. Whatever it takes to make Nigerians legal, change their status from illegal to legal, let's start to work on it. But having said that, like I started off saying, it brings to fore something that we need to address. Africa must be our focus. The African Union, I haven't heard them say anything about this Ukraine issue. Maybe they have, I do not know. But we need to start saying to ourselves, what is Africa saying about this? European Union has said, some countries have welcomed, but what is the African Union talking about the situation in Ukraine as regards Africans in that country? Not only Nigerians, Africans in Ukraine. We need to sit down and start to address it. In terms of greener pastures, the likelihood that we would get this hostile treatment in an African country, this dimension, is lower than what we're getting in Ukraine. I can't, and that's a mental thing, not for discussion now. But can you see me getting this same treatment in Rwanda? Can you in Rwanda push another African off the train?
Or in Ghana?
I mean, Ghana. Or in the Republic of Benin. It's unlikely. So, Africa, Nigerian, let's start to encourage yourself. The same training you're getting in Ukraine, can you get it in Africa?
Like where? Like in South Africa, for instance? Ghana, maybe Ghana. We have Nigerians already studying in Benin Republic.
Yes.
Just close
Let's
by.
start to look at it. You see, I lived in South Africa. Africans have a peculiar problem. Permit me to say, this has been a country that has been at war for a long while. The African, the blacks and the whites. At the mention of any rudeness to any South African, he remembers the apartheid. No matter whether it's a black-skinned person giving him that, he thinks it's apartheid. So the Nigerian in South Africa, suppose Nigerian in South Africa is looked at as, that's apartheid. But let's leave that alone. What am I getting in Ukraine? Can I get it in of Africa? I am co-champion now of the African Free Trade Area. And I'm saying to Africans, Nigerians especially, let me use the parlance here, ohun tẹ́ ẹ̀ wá lọ Ukraine wà Rwanda. American universities are cited all over Africa now, and the same degree you get is as if you've been to.
Of the same quality?
Absolutely. I have a daughter who studied in Abu Dhabi in an American university, and her certificate is well recognized all over the world because it came not from.
Well, that's not African.
What the cost? Cost. And let's look at the bullets that's been bombed. The bullet implications. The hostile environment. For the first few weeks, I have been in Abeokuta for 6 weeks. And it's easy to go around, you can talk to people in the same dialect and whatever. If you go to Ukraine, if you go to Russia, first and foremost, there's a language difficulty. Where do I stay? The Nigerian in Ukraine ain't going to allow you stay in his house free of charge. Easy. And now we have bullets.
For me, I will compare the pros and the cons. And so, what are the pros? I mean, getting a foreign degree from a European university cannot be likened to getting a foreign degree in an African university. So rather choose to face those discrimination for the next. And let me quickly say this: you will find out that is the medical student. I've got a friend that finished from Russia. I've got a friend that finished from Ukraine, and my sister is currently in Ukraine studying medicine. So it's about the medical degrees. Those universities are known; those countries are known for good medical degrees. Now, Eastern Europe generally is known for discrimination. Eastern Europe, the Polish, the Ukraine, even Russia, they are known for discrimination against blacks. So you need to weigh your options. Okay, I would just be careful. I won't do things that would put me in danger. I will finish my studies, come back home. Most of us that study in Ukraine definitely do come back home.
Isn't it?
But if it's UK, US, they might not want to come back. But in Ukraine, they go.
Sorry to cut in. Isn't it still about the economic reason? If I get a degree in medicine, I become a qualified medical doctor in a Ukrainian university, and with that, because I know that I could use that certificate to work in Ukraine.
Yes.
If I bring it back or in General Hospital, will it be respected? The same way, my degree in
it will be respected, even though you have to do 1 year course of conversion. You have to go back to school here or pass some exams so that they will train you here. But it will be respected. But think about it this way: it is even better used in Europe, and so you have many people study in Ukraine, finish, then go to UK, pass the exams, and start working in Europe, in Italy, in many of those countries. Not to necessarily come back.
So that means we still come back to the same point. It's still economic.
Is 80%, 90% economic. Though you get a very good degree, if you can afford it, if the education you get, it can't be compared. The ASU is still on strike, mind you, so you're not going to experience any strike. Your reagents, your cadaver, everything will be there for you to know what you're doing, and you are sure you're going to finish your course at the time you're meant to finish, and you can you're proud of yourself that you're a medical doctor and you know your onions, and you can actually,
But at universities, as you're matriculating, they are also giving you the date of your convocation.
Yes, private universities are doing that.
But they're very expensive.
Exactly.
Very expensive. So that's another matter entirely, isn't it, Mr.
I think we need to address this very, very well. I had the privilege of being in a commercial, this boat driver yesterday, and when it came to education, I was pleasantly surprised. He had no doubts. Education cannot be free in Nigeria. Madam, forget it. If you want a good quality thing, please, let's pay for it and stop deluding ourselves. Now, you have said to me, you brought to the table issues of the private university and the public university. You have a choice. When we were younger, you actually had the private nursery school and the public nursery school. But there was no difference.
Yeah.
There was no difference. Primary in Lagos, and those of us who went to Corona still came in school. This is 50 years down the line. They beat us. Public schools. It was good. Beautiful education. Of course, we were able to speak more Queen's English than they could. We got to do better degrees. It is coming back and addressing the situations. Leave Ukraine right now. Can we sit around the table? If you want good quality education for your child, what must you do? Must he go to Ukraine? The cost of fares, the transport fare, the airplane, your mother not seeing you for 4 or 5 years, all of that, and everybody struggling, the $100 there, the whatever. Can we come back and really?
Let me quickly tell you and share this experience with you. While my sister is in Ukraine, she did a WAEC passed, she did a JAM passed. The two universities, which I won't mention names now, denied her admission. And so the competition was rife, was too much. The universities denied her admission. She passed all the exams, but there were too many people want to get into very few spaces. So she said, okay, let me consider the option abroad, because she could afford it. And so that is the issue. It's not because we do not, where are the spaces? I mean, you know how many number of Nigerians to write JAMB every year. How many can we take? And what do you think Nigerians are going to universities in Benin Republic? Most of those universities in Benin Republic are not accredited. Many of them are not accredited. In fact, many of them, you cannot even serve in NYSC with their certificate. Are you aware of that? But Nigerians still go there because they don't have spaces. Here in Nigerian universities, and JAMB knows this, our universities knows this, our universities are even on strike, by the way. So it is the fact that we are so many in this country and our nation is not taking care of our population. In health, in education, in everything. Is it in transportation? Is it in housing? Is it in power supply? Is it in water supply? Are we taking care of our population? No, we are not. And so this population will seek other means of getting themselves sorted. So it is not their fault that they are not schooling here. It is not because they want to face bullet. It is what the Nigerian situation made them to face.
It's like it's become a project in every family now. Send your child abroad, make him or her go school there and work. You know, and so he or she becomes your retirement benefit.
Absolutely.
Because gratuities are not even coming generally. When you check most states of the federation, so many governments owing gratuities, not paying pensions regularly and all of that. Now let's leave Ukraine. Don't we have discrimination in UK?
It's everywhere.
And yes, maybe the nature is different.
Look at US. So you might even be born in the country. I remember when I was schooling in UK. And so no matter how beautiful or how queenish, excuse me, your English is, you'll still be asked, she will confirm it, where are you from originally? You will still ask you that question. Skin. They know you're not from here. They know this color of skin is not European. And so they ask you, where are you from origin? No matter how brilliant you are, no matter how long you've lived in the country, you ask the question, where are you from originally? So there is discrimination everywhere in the US and the UK. Why are black Americans being killed by the police every time? Why are you more likely to get stopped for police search on the street of California, on the street of Dallas, more than a white person? Despite the fact that you have more people coming in from Eastern Europe into UK. Why did UK their citizens opt to go out of Europe? We are no longer part of EU. So many Eastern Europeans are Europe and they are taking their jobs, taking all of those things. So the discrimination is rife and is everywhere. And so it's not necessarily isolated countries. So Nigerians just feel, well, it's everywhere. So I'd rather manage this, do my few years there and move to a better place where it's not so common and all of that. So it is what the Nigerian situation has made Nigerians to do. Nigerians love it here. As a matter of fact, when you're rich in this country, this is the best place to live. She would attest to that, having lived everywhere. This is the best place to enjoy your money when you're rich.
That's true. I mean, we were joking the other day. This is a country where you get drunk and you drive home and you meet a policeman on the way and you just say, "Oh, guys, where is our own?" Whereas it's a big offense.
Exactly.
You know, if they find alcohol in your system,
Yes.
it's a big, even big men, sportsmen, entertainers can't escape it. You know, so I think it's. I agree with you. You can't just sit down in UK and say, pepper soup.
No, you work a lot. I mean, a lot of them do 4 or 5 jobs. They have work they do during the day, what they do during the evening, they have work during the weekend. And so they work 3 or 4 jobs to make out a living, to do their mortgage, to pay for all the bills. You even pay for TV license. You pay for all of those things to survive. So most Nigerians prefer it here. They love it here. They want to live here. But what do you do when you get there? You face fuel scarcity. We're not talking about it. Fuel is still scarce out there. I came a little bit late business because I had to go get fuel and they had to pour it into my tank before I started coming. And so you have fuel scarcity, you have ASU strike, you have power failure, you have all of those things. So George, well, let me just go and do 4 or 5 months there, do 2 years there. I'll come back home, spend 1 month, feel at home with my family, enjoy them, quickly run back there.
Let's quickly talk about the traumatic experiences of the Nigerians that came back from Ukraine. I learned the federal government gave them about $60.
On $100.
$100, you know. But that's aside the need for them to go through to probably see a psychiatrist, psychologist,
rehabilitation.
Yes, because what they went through, that is no joke. I just can't imagine myself, you know, going through such and coming back here relaxed. Maybe
so a lot of them face the guns like this. We don't carry escape for our life and all of that. I remember my sister being in the on the bus in Romanian border for 6 good hours, and they did not let them in. So it's not only Poland. Countries. Nigeria needs to speak to Romanian authorities so that they can allow them. Of a truth, they don't have Schengen visa, so they can't roam around Europe. But there is a situation that warrants it. So they faced a lot of that, and so they had to come to the, oh man, we thank God for life and all of those things that we're not crying for them at the moment. So they faced a lot, but it's because the Nigerian government did not act enough, did not provide advisory enough in time so that they know there are options, they can get out of the country. See, she told me that it was only Africans that were remaining, apart from Ukrainians that owned the country. Out of the foreign students, it was only African students that were remaining. The student from Ghana, the student from Kenya, the student from Nigeria, the one from Spain, the one from UK, they had left because the country provided advisory. They got in touch with them. We know you're there. The students are there legally, so they know they're there. So we know you're there. Please leave. They closed down the embassies. They told them. So, but we didn't do any of that. We only reacted when we saw that it was getting out of hands. They were making a lot of videos asking for help and all of that. So we need to do better. We need to know that Nigerian life do matter, and we need to ensure we speak to our nationals in any of these countries. Those nationals, let me quickly add this, they are doing well for this country. As a matter of fact, many of us should actually go out. I want to say that it's not only economic reasons. I mean, I behave this way, the way I behave today is because of my exposure that I got from Europe, a little of them from America. So it gives you exposure. Traveling is education. If you can afford it, go 3 weeks, go 4 weeks, come back. You see the same person. This is not the same person that left that is coming back. You're the same. Because traveling is exposure. It's just like going to get a 4-year degree. The same person, the same daughter that you sent to school, after her degree is not the same person coming back. She's a different person. So it's just like that for traveling. So we do not only go for such economic reasons, we go for other reasons. And you know what? Even world financial bodies, the World Bank, the IFC, they recognize our remittances. Nigerian remittances is the highest in Africa, I think about the 3rd highest in the whole world. Remittances back home. We send dollars back home. They do a lot of projects back home. They support. Why do we have Nigerian Diaspora Commission? Why do we have, even in Lagos diaspora, that they are helping out a lot. I saw them yesterday on TV. They are giving out food, giving out a lot of helping out. So Nigerians in diaspora are doing a lot to help the country. It is the highest of remittances all over the world. So we need to recognize them. Commission for them. We need to do more. We need to support. A lot of them want to live in Nigeria. A lot of Nigerians are highly achieving there in the UK. They are making us proud. Anywhere there, Nigerians, is it the doctors over there? Nigerians are doing well. So we should accord them that respect and care for them when they are out of the country, because they are always giving back.
No, you said Nigerians over there are doing well. They're making us proud. Why is it that a Nigerian that finds it difficult to excel academically in Nigeria, when he gets outside, he or she gets outside the country?
Can I answer?
Yes, please.
Environment.
The system.
Take yourself, for example. The day you have electricity, you sleep with electricity, you have your fan, you have your air conditioner. By the time you wake up, you are refreshed. You are able to think. You don't dream demons. There's a lady who I learned, for the first few months, they noticed she would just wake up, go and iron clothes, and go back to sleep. They didn't understand what it was until one day somebody deprogrammed it and said, oh dear, back in Nigeria they have to struggle. As soon as you see light, you quickly iron. That is a mental thing. So why do we prosper outside Africa, outside Nigeria? Because you have the environment to prosper. Bread is there without butter is there and a cup of tea, and that's all the Nigerian needs.
That's it.
And he survives. But in Nigeria, he has to look for bread all over. He doesn't find butter with Blue Band or whatever it is. But let us please take 1 minute to look at this. Look at Ukraine, the people who have come back. Can we optimize new, fresh blood within the socio-economic situation of Nigeria? Has come back, not because she wants to. COVID brought some of us back, compulsorily. And can we use this situation, after the psychological treatment, post-trauma, whatever, can we optimize what we have? What did they learn there? Can it be made use of? To go back to Ukraine is a tall dream. In the next month, it's going to take some time.
Well, in 1 2 staff, quickly tell us, you are Secretary General of African Ship Owners Association with headquarters in Seychelles. How is Seychelles? And what about this? What is this about? Quickly.
African Ship Owners Association is made up of all Africans who own or operate ships. Okay. Very few, little. Why are we here? We've left Seychelles because COVID come. But Ogun State, Abeokuta in particular, is a haven for prospective ship owners. Yes,
okay, so you're back in Abeokuta?
I now have a flat in Abeokuta, proudly fantastic. And an office too. Before
we have budding football commentators coming out of that family.
I am proud to say that we have Mrs. Kukoyi at the LTV. Okay. She's now a director. And, she hasn't added follow show to her name.
Yes.
But I'm hoping and trusting that these ones who watch television may add and say, but my father's was a gift.
Yes.
He didn't learn it.
Yes.
It was just a gift.
Yes.
That God gave him.
Ishola follow on the show in the same class with Ernest Okonkwo and the rest of them.
Sebastian Ofro.
Yes, Sebastian Ofro. May their souls rest in peace. We must thank you so much for coming, Barrister Fumi Ishola follow on show, Secretary General, African Ship Owners Association with headquarters in Seychelles. Thank you so much for your time on this program.
Thank you very much for having me.
So, my Nolobo, it's always a delight to have you. I never knew you studied in the UK. Maybe you bring your sister, maybe OGTV. Share experience not? We'd love to have that. Thank you so much for joining us on the program this morning. Okay, we'll take this break. When we come back, it will be another topic on the program New Dawn on the People's Telly, OGTV. Stay with us.